Again, this is KidTeacher. Welcome to the third YouTube video of my chess playlist where I'm going to be talking about how to checkmate with its two rooks. This is a very common end game that happens when you win or lose. An end game is the finish of the game. And if you watch Avengers Endgame, you might know that. This is a rook hook ending, and we're going to see how to checkmate with a king and two rooks. The first step is to force the king to the edge. That's where it will be easier to checkmate. The next step is make it so that the rooks don't bump into each other. And the final step is make sure your king, the opponent's king, can't escape out of the process while going to the edge. So the first move, if you are playing against a beginner, is very easy. Since this rook is just doing nothing, this rook is sealing the black king onto this side of the board, and he can't move into the B file. So we need to make it so that he can't move into the C file by moving our rook over here. The king will move to the D file, and now we have to aim at the D file with the other rook. Notice if you do it with this rook, the king will escape, and although you're forcing him to the other edge, it would be better not to force him to different edges all the time. So this would be an easier move. Now he'll be forced to the edge, and you might notice the pattern. You keep on alternating the rooks, checking the black king. Now is when the king is forced to the edge. If you do this, it's checkmate. The king can't move out of the board, and the rooks seal him onto the edge. So that's why the king can't move here, because the rook is aiming, and the rook is checking the black king. But there's a smarter way of making when the black king might be able to stop this process. If you're playing an intermediate or advanced player and you're doing this type of checkmate, when you do check, he'll move closer to your rooks, and closer and closer. Now notice if you do check again, the black king will take the rook, and you still don't know how to checkmate with the king and a rook. So going back, instead of checking, the best move is to move all the way to the other side. And if the king attacks the other rook, you don't go fully to the side, because remember I said you don't want your rooks to bump into each other. Let's see what happens if you do that. Again, it's check. So black will move away. Wait, I made a mistake. Notice that when the rook goes here, he can't move here because it would be check. And let's just say the black king moves along the file. Now if you check, you can plainly see the king will capture. Moving back, now let's see what happens when you put your rooks on the same rank. So the black king will make a random move, and if you check, your rooks are separated, and you don't want that because there will be a file without a rook between the rooks, and the king can escape there. And if you check with the other rook, the king will escape. And if you check, the king will go back to the center. And you didn't just do anything. It's the same position before. And if you check with this rook, the king will go back. And if you check with this rook, the king will go back again. And you're not getting anywhere. So now would be a good time to make your rooks operate on different ranks. Now the king will make a random move, and then you check, and then he moves, and then you'll check, and then he attacks the rook, and then you go all the way here, and he threatens to capture the rook if rook c8 is played. So you go all the way to the second rank and not the first rank. The same thing will happen again. And the king will make a random chess move, and the rook will move here. The black king will escape. The rook will move here. The black king will finally hit the edge, and then it would be checkmate. So remember, if the king comes closer to attack the rook, go all the way to the other side. And he threatens to capture the other rook, go almost all the way to the other side, one square diagonal from your other rook. Now you know what to do when you have both your rooks at the end of the game and the opponent has nothing. I will see you next time with the king and queen mate.